is in whatever establishments that each and every one of us works in. I'm really very, very excited to be part of this. And I am very happy that the first lecture is coming from a very, very highly experienced practitioner in our profession. So I'm sure, especially the young ones who are participants in this lecture series, will have a lot to learn from Engineer Wilson Dadet. In our profession, I can say that the #1 challenge that a practicing chemical engineer will always face is the clash between safety and balance sheet of a company where the chemical engineer works. There is always a constant tug of war between the balance sheet and the safety. Essentially because most top management or most leaders of industries totally, in most cases, misunderstand the critical role of safety in proactive management and indeed reliability and availability of the assets that they are managing. They've always seen the default to be to trade off safety when there is no safety culture, which incidentally is always a responsibility of top management, to trade off safety for asset availability and profit.
But it's HSESG.
Can somebody, the person talking,
I've muted him, sir. Continue.
Okay. I thought you circulated the guidelines.
No, it's okay, sir. This is the first one, so
okay.
We'll be able to manage some of the issues. Okay.
All right then.
Yes, sir.
So clearly, this is one of the most important sectorial groups of our society. As a practicing chemical engineer, I can guarantee you that the #1 area where your ethics, professional ethics and conduct will be tested, unless you're not a practicing chemical engineer, is in the area of HSE. Most people in management will not want asset downtime, or they will want minimal downtime if a downtime enforced on the asset. And it is the responsibility of the chemical engineer to always stick out his or her neck to draw such members of management, especially where a safety management system or a safety culture does not exist. And I can guarantee you in most of the assets that we manage in our environment, it is a struggle to find top management lead the establishment of a safety culture in an organization. So I'm indeed happy that we have such a vibrant sectorial group, sharing knowledge. I look forward to this constant exchange, ultimately leading to the establishment of our national process safety group, which we are pushing for. That is our major targets for this year. The vehicle has been registered by CSE. It is the responsibility of this sectorial group to make sure that we ultimately start competing with the likes of IChemE Safety Center or the AICHE Center for Process Safety. Luckily, we have MOUs established between us and them, so we can leverage on their experience and knowledge to drive the establishment of the National Process Safety Group. I really look forward to this lecture and all subsequent lectures, because safety is at the bottom of any engineered product delivery. Any engineered product delivery that does not emphasize a safety culture is bound to ultimately not even meet the balance sheet objectives of the shareholders. So the more of these lectures we have, the more the participants in these lectures can become vectors for propagating safety culture from our society, the more we would have achieved our objective as a leading professional organization. So once again, thank you all. I won't want to take all your time so that we can all focus on the real thing in a short while. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that opening speech.
Thank you,
Thank you.
President.
Thank you, my PP. So over to you, Mahmoud. Has he dropped off? Mahmoud.
NP with all groups, not so?
Mahmoud, I thought you should introduce the lecturer.
NP, I think you are chair of all groups.
I think
We can hear him.
Hello. I think Engineer Mahmoud is having connection problem.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can see his voice
It's
move.
It's not a connection problem.
Okay.
I muted myself earlier to ask Victor to help us take attendance.
Oh.
I forgot to unmute.
Okay, please. It's over to you to introduce the lecturer.
So our presenter of the day is Engineer Wilson Dadet. He's a fellow of the National Society of Chemical Engineers, a Korea registered. and with over 20 years of plant operations and process engineering experience. He had PhD and PGD from Kaduna Polytechnic, bachelor's degree and master's from University of Port Harcourt, another master's degree from Walden University in Minnesota on business administration. He also studied plant operations in Aberdeen University College, UK. He has attended many safety-related courses, basic health and safety of the Chartered Institute of Health Safety with bottled gas, risk basic safety training, safety in process design, incident investigator and tripod beta investigator course, analysis practitioners course, leadership advanced firefighting course, and leading HAZOP. He has led so many HAZOP studies and participated in many plant commissioning and startup, desktop exercise, pre-incident planning, safe preparation of equipment for maintenance and incident investigations. He's also a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellow Institute of Management Consultants, fellow academic of entrepreneurial studies, senior member, American Institute of Chemical Engineers, chartered engineer with the United Kingdom Engineering Council. He was also a one-time chief examiner of Nigerian engineers for Boni, currently a lead process engineer at Nigeria LNG. He's also the assistant coordinator of the NSChE HSE safety group. The topic he's going to present on is the process safety in change management. That's Engineer Wilson Dadet. Over to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You can share your screen now.
Yeah, okay, yeah, go ahead and give me, can you, okay, I should
yes,
share.
Go ahead and share the screen.
Okay.
Thanks, Engineer Dadet.
Thank you, sir. So let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can all see it now.
We can all see it. Put it on presentation mode. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We're all seeing. I'm seeing anyway.
Okay. So confirm we're all in.
Yeah. So before you start, I want to request that everybody mute their microphone now, except myself and Dr. Usman Abubakar Zaria, who is the co-host. When he finish, we ask questions by way of raising hand. I'm seeing like when you want to do this raising hand function, you click on it. I will see you from. I will ask you to speak and pull your hand down. I will be the one that I'll unmute your mic. Let's all mute our mic now, except the presenter. Thank you. Engineer Wilson, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Engineer Mahmoud, and again, welcome everyone. And I'd like to thank the leadership for the privilege given to me to be the forerunner in this series of technical lectures. I hope that we shall all get something out of this.
What a waste. What a waste.
The presentation is going to take the format shown. We're going to start with a brief safety moment, and I will introduce the topic, and then we'll look at the benefits and the types of changes, consequences, procedure, and conclusion. Okay, now without much ado, I'd like to go into a brief safety moment. So the safety moment is going to be about the what is currently ravaging us. That is the COVID-19. The important thing for us is to ensure that we adhere to the precautions that have already been given to us concerning forestalling the further spread these clean your whole base, hand, rub. Maintain social distancing. Cover your nose and mouth with your elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay at home if you feel unwell. If you have symptoms, it's important that you seek medical attention and also wear face mask. And as a result of the ravaging pandemic, a number of people have been, constrained to be working from home. And this is a new way of life that also, offers us the situation for us to check, our staying at home safety-wise. And there are some tips that we'll need to also observe while working at home. For instance, we need to ensure self-care, take breathing exercises, avoid inactivity, eat well and eat right. And also don't forget economics, because of course you are working at home. It's not just sit anyhow because you are staying at home. You need to maintain a proper economics. And you also need to pay special attention to your mental health. So without much ado, I will just open the floor for just 1 or 2 minutes for our contributions to this safety moment. Okay, so in the absence of any other comment, I will continue. So I will start with introduction. Yes, this topic, that is process safety in change management. There is no better time, than now. The day-to-day operations at manufacturing plants, may vary based on industry and facility. But of course, there is the need to manage safety, and that is always consistent. Yes, operations change, but safety management is consistent. There is no way you can run a successful plant without consistent safety management. For manufacturing businesses, change is inevitable, I tell you. And it can be a positive source of growth and advancement. And it is only beneficial if we manage it properly. So it has to be managed properly. Now, what is change management? It is the auditable process to identify, assess, mitigate, and approve change-related risk prior to the change taking place. So during the process, all the risks identified and mitigations against them are sought. It can also be said to be a set of procedures aimed at preventing unintended risk and complications associated with a change in an organization. The need to be able to recognize change and its impact on safe production is vital to ensuring safe operation. And in order to manage change successfully and safely, it is imperative to have a robust management of change program in place. Everything except for operating a set of established parameters, which is often known as the safe operation envelope, and replacing like for like. Now, what are the benefits of the change program? Now, the benefits are properly reviewed and hazards introduced by prior to resuming operation. Now, let me mention here that
I think it's like we lost him momentarily.
Hello?
Just hold on. We lost him momentarily. Let me let him know because we have a
No, hello, Engineer Mahmoud.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. What's happening? Yes, but I can't see the screen. Can you hear me?
Share it again.
Okay. Where? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Nope.
This is not your screen. Tonye Belgam's screen is showing. That's what caused. You are the one that pushed his screen off. Tonye.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can share yours now. I think somebody shared his own erroneously. That was what happened.
Yeah, but please, somebody should not share erroneously, because it is going to affect the presentation.
We've lost 2 minutes now.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so please.
PowerPoint presentation. Yes, so continue.
Okay. So I was talking about the fact that numerous studies to workers during change is many times higher than during routine production operations. Therefore, workforce safety is one of the biggest concerns that go along with managing organizational change. And I'm also happy that our president in his welcome address, he mentioned the balance sheet and safety. Yes, unfortunately, this is one of the things that we overlook. That is, when it comes to looking at balance sheets, we tend to undermine safety. In my experience, in my working experience, I've seen sometimes when I was in one of these industries, not where I am now, but where I was before coming to this place. In fact, at a point, there was a story of the fact that management of change was not properly followed, and a mobile pump was used with a hose. And the product was a hot product, over 100 degrees C. And in operations, that hose actually pulled off. And when it pulled off, the hot product, actually spilled on the body of one of the employees. And unfortunately, we lost the employee. So the benefits of MOC programs in safety cannot be overemphasized. Now, changes that could have adverse impacts on process safety, including some that may not be obvious, are identified during a change. Yeah. Management of change also ensures that safety regulatory requirements for managing change are reviewed. Equipment and facilities will eventually fail, of course. And when that happens, people will be exposed to chemical health and other job-related risks. Management of change can mitigate against injury. And what are the types of changes that can be made? First, we have temporary change. Now, this change restores the integrity of a piece of equipment for a limited period of time only. It will either be restored to original status, or it can also lead to a permanent change depending on the circumstance. It is not expected to be valid for more than a specific period of time, but there is recognition that there may be specific operational constraints, which may require the temporary change to have a longer life, e.g. planned shutdown. Yeah, because you can you know, undertake a temporary change, and you discover that if you short the plan during that period, it's going to affect you more. So you have to wait for a period that is more suitable for you, and that's the reason why temporary change may take longer, you know, than required. That is waiting for a situation where there is going to be a planned shutdown. Now, another form of change also is emergency change. Now, these are changes that require urgent attention in order to prevent safety hazards or to avert production disruption. It is a change under exceptional circumstances required, whereby the change has to be made before the full change process can be followed and documented. An emergency change can either be permanent or temporary. Yeah, because it's emergency. So depending on the circumstance, when the emergency change is effected, then the performance is looked at to see whether it can be reverted back to where it was or it becomes a permanent change. So these are the conditions where an emergency change can be either a permanent or a temporary change. Emergency changes may be necessary under exceptional circumstances. One, when there's an immediate danger to life or health. A condition that will or may result in severe impact to the environment. A condition that will or may result in imminent equipment damage. Then there is a permanent change. Now, this is an alteration to the current state where it is not envisaged that there will be a return to the pre-change state. What are the consequences of change failure? Now, I have given an example here to give us the extent to which the consequence of a change in a procedure is not adhered to. Now, I look at the disaster of Phillips in 1989. Now, this incident took place during a routine maintenance procedure. In that instance, there were valves that were not properly identified. And the accident resulted in an explosion that killed 23 employees and injured 314 by not adhering to change procedure. Now, findings from the disaster showed the following: lack of process hazard analysis, inadequate standard operating procedures, non-fail-safe block valve, inadequate maintenance permitting system, that is, the permit to work system was flawed. The lockout and tagout procedures were also flawed. So now looking at all these findings, you can see that these are findings that management of change procedure would have averted this if properly followed. Now, further findings also showed lack of combustible gas detection and alarm system, presence of ignition sources, inadequate ventilation systems for nearby buildings, fire protection system not maintained in an adequate state of readiness. You'll agree with me that all these are things that the change process would have captured. Yeah, because in a step of the change, one of the steps is that there has to be a hazard analysis, and also the changes, the impact of the changes have to be prioritized. So as a result of flaw in a change process, the disaster presented itself. Now, procedure. Once the decision has been made to pursue the change, the determination is then made if the change is a replacement in kind or a management of change. If the change is a replacement in kind, then there is no need for a change management. It's just like you want to replace a 2-inch ball valve, you want to replace it with a 2-inch ball valve. Then, yeah, it's a replacement in kind. Therefore, there may not be really need for management of change. A replacement in kind is a replacement that meets the original design specifications. If the change is not a replacement in kind, then it enters the MOC system. An MOC form has a review need to be completed by a multidisciplinary team. Yes, it's important to have a multidisciplinary team because they are from different areas and they have different type of knowledge to be able to capture all the situations, the hazards, the risks that are going to present themselves, during the change. So the outcome of the review is MOC documentation and the controls needed in order to implement the management of change in a safe manner. Now, in a management of change, there is always something that is very, very important, and this has to do with the documentations. Now, first, the technical basis for the proposed change has to be indicated, and any impact the change could have on safety and health. And also, it needs to be stated if the change will also have impact on existing operating procedures. Yeah? Because it's going to have an impact on existing operating procedures that has to be taken cognizance of, because it's possible that it's going to even make it worse. So that has to be taken cognizance of. The time necessary for performing the change, the time period needs to be indicated, and necessary authorization has to be given. The form should also note items such as scope, design, sketches, drawings, cost estimate, time schedule, and plan pre-startup checks. Really important. Now, steps. What are the steps in the change process? One, recognize all changes. Now, the thing is that without a thorough understanding of what changes are going to happen, it becomes difficult for a team to evaluate its potential impact to the organization. So it is important to know the details of the change so that the change can be properly managed. Then the next thing is to identify the hazard and risk. So a careful risk analysis must be done to cover every potential hazard that the change will cause. Seemingly, minimal effects will never be overlooked because there is no effect that is minimal, really. What is unsafe is unsafe. Because no matter how little it is, it can cost lives and equipment. It can even cause an entire organization. Instead, they should be treated as though they can impact the whole organization in a big way. Worst case scenarios for each risk must be identified so that steps can be made to avoid them. The next is to know the hazards. Now, the thing is to check if the hazards can be minimized, controlled, or totally avoided. Yes. Now, what you may tend to ask, are there risks that cannot be totally avoided? Well, the thing is that if you look at, what you are doing, for instance, has to do with weather, say maybe rainfall. Rainfall is going to cause something. Well, rainfall is something, you can't avoid that. So all you need to do is to find a way of minimizing the impact, or you can't stop it. So the next thing is to find out if the change is feasible or can be implemented given the circumstances. This is more like a risk-reward analysis. In management, there are questions like, can the changes be done with the least amount of danger possible? Or do the hazards caused by the change outweigh its rewards? And the next step is to conduct what is known as a PSSR. PSSR is a pre-start safety review. It is a thorough review of equipment and its related processes to ensure that the safety exercise in the process of the change management are adhered to. And then the next thing is to implement the change, if safe to do so. Then the next point is to train all affected workers. Of course, if you are making a change, it becomes new to the employees. So they need to be aware, to be aware of the change, and they be trained on the change. Because they need to know that something new has happened. Therefore, these are the things we need to do. In conclusion, hello, am I still communicating, please? No, Mahmoud.
Continue.
Yes, engineer.
Am I communicating?
Yes, you
No,
are.
I was waiting for a response, but I didn't get a response. So I was wondering because
no,
you know the way. Okay, I'm communicating. Okay.
Yes,
now, in conclusion, equipment and facilities will eventually fail, and people will be exposed to chemical health and other job-related risks. When they do, they must be protected. We should expect changes to happen and execute MOC steps to keep organizations thriving. And it is also important to make management of change for mandatory for all changes on all process safety related issues. Changes. We shouldn't make a management of change optional. I tell you, if you make it optional, people will hardly go for it because people would like to look for an easy way out. An easy way out will not be rewarding because easy way out means you have to bypass management of change procedure, just like what we saw with the Phillips disaster, where some safety steps were not adhered to, and it led to quite a lot of lives and property. So thank you very much. So
thank you very much, Engineer Dadet. So because of the time that we've lost, we'll allow the summary to take place during the when Dr. Abubakar will do the wrap-up. But before I open the floor for questions, I want to, we have some elders in the house, and it's only normal that we recognize them. We have the immediate past president, Professor Adefila. I'm also seeing the past president, Dr. Irina.
Thank you so much.
Is also with us. Dr. Boniface Wada is a veteran teacher and trainer by excellence, retired with NNPC, but is not tired. We have some retired GMGs that this man trained, so having him with us is a source of encouragement. We also have the petroleum upstream sectoral group coordinator, Engineer Mrs. Olushe Afolabi, with us. You are welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Now, we still maintain our mic muted. If you have a question to ask, you use the raising hand feature. Then we pick a set, like between 3 to 5. You ask the questions, then we have response from Engineer Dadet. We need to group it like that in order to manage the remaining time that we have. We should also be aware that a question that somebody has asked and you are interested in, do not repeat. So I see Dr. Abdulaziz Atta, number 1. Rahim Alabi, 2. Yunus, 3. Engineer Olumayowa Stevens, 4. So we take this first set, then if we still have time, we take another set. Abdulaziz Atta, you are number 1. Fire your question.
No, are you?
Yes, we are hearing you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this forum, in this lecture series. It's highly welcome. But my question, as a layman in safety, I'm wondering if we have procedures in Nigeria, just like how you have in aviation, where when you have incidents, there are recourse to organizations. In Nigeria, do we have, when you have safety issues, when you have management of changes issues, do we have a central organization in Nigeria where such things are reported, where they monitor and follow up on some of these shortcomings. Thank you very much.
Okay, who is number 2?
This is Rahim Alabi. Good afternoon.
Rahim, fire.
Yeah, I would like to maintain existing protocol because of the time, and I would like to appreciate the presenter for wonderful presentation. My own is just a more of clarification. I saw that in the steps highlighted in the presentation, I saw pre-startup safety review before implementation. Currently, I oversee the MOC program in my company, and after we carry out process hazard analysis, we try to close out action from process hazard analysis, then we go ahead and implement. After the implementation, we carry out PSSR, because the key control point in the MOC are process hazard analysis before the implementation, then PSSR post-implementation, so that at that point in time, all action generated from those two exercises must be closed out, and they involve multidisciplinary team. That's why I just want to confirm if the steps are in direct order or is just to clarify that point. Thank you. I'm over.
Next, who's number 3? Yunus.
Thank you very much. This is Yunus. I want to appreciate the effort of our presenter. He has been able to give a very informative and educative presentation. Thank you very much. This will probably set the tone for other presentations, including mine that will be coming on 5th. My question is on the accident recorded in the facility where he was working. Was there any advice by him as the safety officer on maintenance of the faulty equipment before the accident was recorded? And when the accident was recorded, what action did he take? Because losing a life, certainly the company will be liable in terms of life lost and payment for, kind of to cushion the effect on the family of the bereaved. Thank you very much.
Okay, the 5th one, Olumayowa.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I have 2 short questions. Number 1 is from professional practice.
Yeah.
How do we manage as a safety person in your company? How do we manage the clash between balance sheet and safety? How do you go about it since you have other management staff and you are part of them? So how do you manage it professionally? Then number 2, from the presentation directly, whose responsibility it is to identify if a change management will be necessary in operation? Thank you.
Okay, so we have the first 5 sets of questions now. Engineer Dadet, I'll give you time to quickly address those 5. Then we see the time we have available. Maybe we take another set.
Okay, I think I think I have 4. But if I make my responses, if there's anyone I've missed, please just call me to order. Now, I think the first one came from Abdulaziz, and his question was that he wanted to know if the MOC process, if there's any central body, in the country that that monitors MOC adherence in organizations. Well, the thing is that, frankly speaking, I don't know if there is a body like that, but I know that there are regulatory bodies that go around companies, you know, to check, you know, for, I would just give a typical example. For example, now if HAZOP, for instance, you know, HAZOP is also a step in the change process. So if we are carrying out HAZOP, we get in touch with DPR, and they send their representative, you know, to come and see, you know, actually what we are doing, and also to help us, I mean, to do with us, to review, you know, what we are doing. So I think that is one of the process where I think the body, you know, comes into the fore in management of change process. Then I also have a question from Rahim Alabi. He is asking for the order of PSSR in the change management process. Yeah, of course, the PSSR, you know, is a review of the equipment and its related processes to ensure that safety measures are in place. Now, that means those things, some of the things that were recommended, you know, in the change process, like if a HAZOP, you know, was carried out. So during the PSSR, that some things like that will have to be checked to ensure that the recommendations of the hazards, you know, are properly, you know, executed before implementation. So it's very important to do the PSSR before implementation, because if you go and implement before the PSSR, you may miss that, and that defies, you know, or defeats the essence of a proper MOC process. And then a question from Yunus concerning the incident that I mentioned. Oh yes, well then I wasn't a safety officer anyway, because you said as a safety officer, then I wasn't a safety officer. But of course, where my position then afforded me the opportunity to actually be part of the team that did the investigation, and of course we brought out a lot of recommendations. And then let me just tell you, you know, this is I'm telling you is about some decades ago, and unfortunately, then, because I had the opportunity of moving around some industries then, I will tell you something. It's unfortunate that people will, this safety boot that we talk about, like this safety boot, I have been to places at the time, safety boots were cut into a slipper shape. Sometimes made to be a safety boot. And I call and ask them, what is this? Is it a safety boot? Why did you cut it like this? Say, no, it's convenient. It's more comfortable when it is cut. So you can imagine. So these are the kind of things that we need to be wary of. You know, sometimes safety gears are not really, they are not comfortable, but they are for our safety. Yeah. So, but if you need more information on this, Yunus, I don't mind. I can offline. I can tell you, you know, more on this, on what happened, because you know, some of these things are things that we can't be you know, brought in a forum like this. What I mean is that the legal aspect of it that I can discuss with you. And then I have a question from Olumayuwa. Now his question is, how do we manage how do we manage the balance between a balance sheet and safety? Well, I think it's very clear. It's clear because if you want to compromise balance sheet for safety, and then of course, for instance, you want to say, I want to keep production because I have customers waiting now, and then there is something that is unsafe that you are supposed to tackle, but you failed because you have customers waiting. Therefore, you want to delay that. Now, the thing is this: if in that process, unfortunately, the the hazard presents the risk, and it leads to a loss of lives, and the whole equipment or the whole plant is gone. Now, you will see or you understand that one, should have, taking the safety first, rather than going for now. You need to go get some sort of new equipment, and the experienced staff are also gone. Hello.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, because I saw something like I saw a message on my PC, so I just want to be sure that I'm still being heard. Now, then the other question here, he said whose responsibility is it to identify an MOC? Well, I think management of change is anybody's responsibility. I tell you, it's everybody's responsibility to identify follows the normal process. You may not be the one to raise the plan change or the level setup establishment. Is expected that there are procedures where such be reported, and when they are reported, then the management takes the formal state. So I hope I'm able to respond to your questions, ably.
Yeah, thank you, Engineer Wilson. I think why I asked that question basically is because, in engineering projects, there are always different disciplines, engineering disciplines that come together, at design level, at the execution level, so I just feel that somebody should be perhaps maybe among the engineer, among the process level, at the execution level, so yes. I just feel that. So that I feel that somebody should be the one that be the one.
Hello, can I chip in something here?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Can I chip in something?
Hello, I'm hearing you.
No, raise your hand.
Okay.
Okay, Rahim. Okay, is your question that is being answered?
No, it's not my question. I just want to chip in about who's going to identify whether it's MOC or not.
Let him finish.
Okay.
Let him finish. Yeah, let him finish.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Engineer Dadet, are you done with the questions?
No, I don't know. I just want to add to what, because like I said, when they just to add to he say whose responsibility is to identify.
No, like address all the questions. Then I will allow a minute or two for people to make comment on your response. Then we go to the next set. That way we will save time and be more coordinated.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you go ahead and finish up.
No, I just
questions on the comments that I made.
No, I just wanted to finish up the one on the MOC, on whose responsibility it is to identify an MOC. Well, of course,
the reason why I say that you finish addressing the issues, we will not be able to do debate here. We have the WhatsApp platform that we can go back there and continue the debate.
No, go ahead. Okay, then go ahead. Then proceed. Then go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, you are all right?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay, Rahim.
Yes.
1 minute.
Okay, I just want to say, like, in my own organization, I'm the more like MOC coordinator. Now, in our practice, the procedure, we have a checklist to know whether it's a replacement in kind or it's a change. Now, whenever any station raises an MOC, we have MOC review board, whereby everybody look at it against the selected criteria that we have in our procedure. From there, we decide that, oh, this is a change. There are some that they are obviously they are a change. You don't, for instance, you want to change a ball valve to globe valve, it's obviously a change. But there are some that are very controversial. Based on that, we subject it to those criteria. Then when it comes out that is a change, then we take it through MOC process. That's what I just want to add. Thank you, sir. Over.
Okay. What will happen, Alabi? Immediately after this meeting, we have actually a discussion forum on the NSChE portal. I'm going to share the link. We go back there and continue the discussion.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Because you can't buy experience. What you've experienced, what you've tested to be true, is better than what is story in the disease. So it's very important. Now we are going to take the next set of questions. Number one, Engineer Mohammed. Number two, Engineer Tukur Lawal. Is there any other hand up? Okay, we take those two and see how far. Mohammed, fire, you have the floor. Hello, Engineer Mohammed.
Engineer Mahmoud, Engineer Nuru can't locate his speaker. So he is advisable he asks through WhatsApp.
Okay. Can you drop that message for him on, he can put his question in the message area in the platform. I see that he's using that very well.
Okay, let me
ask him to drop his question there. Engineer Tukur, are you with us?
The person who is responsible for MOC, but since you are going to provide a link for discussion, I think I'll stay put until when you do that. But obviously, the project manager is responsible for managing MOC, whoever is the project leader. We'll discuss this at length when you provide that forum. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, Engineer Mahmoud.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to come here, but I need to correct an impression, please, because the question he asked was, who is responsible to identify? Yeah. So please, who is responsible? When you look at from the presentation I made, of course, identification. Anybody can identify, can say, I have this is wrong. I mean, I think this is wrong. Then a team needs to look at it, and then that team, the person that identifies it, may not be the team that will review it. And yes, when it's identified, yes, a set of steps need to be followed, to know whether it's going to go to an MOC or not. So that is what I want to clear, please.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's great. Is no available now? Victor, have you been able to communicate with him?
He has not dropped his question yet, sir.
Okay, so I think we are going to move forward. When he's ready, we can also take his question in the platform. Now, right, before we continue, Victor is taking attendance, and we have some people that didn't sign in with their names. So it's the devices they are using that is being shown here. So I need these people to assist us. For instance, if you are using the device, maybe Y7 prime, just type it as a text message in the chat area and indicate your name against the device. I see Infinix Hot 8 Lite, Y7, we have a A3 Pro. Please assist us with your names in the chat area so that Victor can properly capture it. Engineer Yunus, you want to talk again?
Well, Mahmoud,
yes,
can I chip in?
Sorry, sir.
Yeah, Yunus, sorry.
Let that person go on, sir.
Okay.
Go on, sir.
Okay. Engineer Dadet, that's a very brilliant presentation.
Thank you, sir.
The questions you answered are also quite well delivered.
Thank you, sir.
The first question was on issue of regulatory oversight. You are very, very correct. It's with respect to the oil industry, DPR has a primary responsibility for HSE. However, the Ministry of Labor, Trade and Labor, is responsible for occupational safety, which essentially defines in greater detail the safety compliance requirements as it affects all the industries. So, and that will be when the process safety group of Nigeria takes off. That will be the primary agency that we will be working with, along with all the others that have safety oversight in their sectors. So on the other side of safety, clearly is a culture issue. And the culture is the responsibility of the leader of any organization. The leadership and management of any organization drives that culture. If you don't have the buy-in of the leadership and management, it will be difficult for line officers who actually have responsibility. You know, safety is often said it's a line responsibility. They will be swimming against the tide. So on issue of who is responsible for MOC, identifying an MOC, once you have a leadership-led safety culture, it enables everybody in the organization to identify potential areas for MOC. Just like Dadet said, everybody should be able to say, well, I suspect based on the basis of knowledge and experience, say, this thing is pushing beyond the design specifications. So there is a need to do an MOC. So, and once, if you have an organization where the leadership and management is leading the safety culture, then that line staff that identifies that need will not have a problem. But once you have leadership and management not aligned to lead the safety culture establishment, that is when you find safety always struggling with balance sheet. And that is what ultimately we seek as a professional body to disseminate, to lead, so that people who own assets will eventually realize that safety is cheaper. It's more balance sheet friendly in a strategic sense than when they look at it in a short-term basis. So once again, it's a very brilliant lecture. I really look forward to more and more of such because it demonstrates the depth of the resource that we have within our society. And I'm truly proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, time is well spent now. We may not be able to take on more comments. I will give Dr. Abubakar Usman.
All right.
Dr. Oda, I can't refuse you, sir.
Yes, can you hear me?
I can make exceptions for you, sir, Dr. Oda. But I give you only 2 minutes. Dr. Oda, hold on. Your mic is muted. Let me find you so that.
Okay. I think
okay, you are okay now.
No, you say I'm a teacher, so I've taught myself how to.
Yes.
I agree very much with the National President on the comment about the leadership being the driving force in all of this. Because I remember very well an incident in one of our refineries where there was a problem in the plant. And the MD of the plant was going along with his colleague on the administration side. And this man was in flowing agbada. And as he was about to cross into the accident area, the plant, a safety officer walked up to him and said, "Sir, you cannot go like this." And here was this top admin personnel who was really feared in the whole organization. But the MD, who was a technical person, no amount of appeal, "Sir, can you ask this young man to get out of my way?" He went on. So the important, why I'm mentioning this, that sometimes we, due to political reason or other consideration, we put people in charge of plants that are non-technical. And we say, well, at this stage, anybody, an accountant, a lawyer can handle. And it is not true. I've come to realize that we need to emphasize that organizations, particularly plants, need to be headed by people that understand what we're talking about here. Otherwise, we shall be putting, balancing of safety and the balance sheet is like being penny wise and pound foolish. So the issue of managing and equipment, because there's need to do so. To my mind, it's not acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you for the contribution, sir. Dr. Abubakar.
Yes, engineer. Can you hear me?
Can you present the summary of the session?
Okay, that's fine. Can you hear me?
We are hearing you, yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to add my voice. And Wilson Dadet, thank you very much again for the excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, I think this demonstrates that we are actually very resilient. We're a group of people that always look for opportunities and make good use of them. We're a people that have been able now to convert even the lockdown itself into another opportunity, an opportunity to improve our professional life. I think this is quite commendable. My internet connectivity has been breaking here and there, but I've managed to get hold of a few items which I want to share now. The presentation
He has muted his speaker, please. Mahmoud.
I'm trying to unmute him.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so the presenter did very well in establishing clear link between major industrial accident and failure in MOC procedures. He made mention of Phillips disaster in 1989, an accident that killed about 23 people. Other examples here could be, BP Texas refinery explosion 2005, which killed a number of people, and that was also during a startup after a maintenance work, so highlighting the importance of MOC procedure. The presentation also highlighted the need to consider replacement in kind, as exceptions. So except for where we have replacement in kind, there is always the need for written MOC procedure to manage changes in a number of things. And I think it's important to remember this. Number one, process chemicals, technology changes, or where we have changes in equipment, where we have changes in procedures themselves. We are expected to have written MOC procedure where we have major changes in any of these items mentioned. But controversy, as seen in the discussion, that what is major, definition of major changes from one organization to another, and Wilson Dadet also talked about the need to do a few things prior to MOC procedure. Prior to change, there is need to carefully assess and evaluate a number of items. Number one, the technical basis for the proposed change and potential risks or impact of the change on personnel, asset, and the environment need to be assessed prior to any change. And we also need to find out if there is need to modify existing procedures. So this is where we ask the question whether the change is major or not, or whether it has impact on process chemicals, or it affects technology, equipment, or procedure. There is also the need to clearly identify the type of change. Is it temporary? Is it permanent? And if it is temporary, how long are we expecting the change to be in effect? We need to define that: a few weeks, some months, or years. And also we could identify emergency or planned change. And also it's important prior to introducing any major change to confirm who has the authority to identify who has the authority to approve the change, and also who is qualified to implement the changes as well. Wilson Dadet also, talked about the need to train. Hello, can I go ahead?
Continue.
Okay, so all relevant employees, and this is very important, including contractors, must be informed of the change and retrained if there is the need for that prior to startup. The presentation also talked about or highlighted the need to pay special attention to ever-existing war, if you like, between the need to ensure HS management and profitability. But maybe it's good to remind ourselves here that if one thinks safety is expensive, then maybe one should try an accident. I'm paraphrasing, somebody there. So I think these are a few items I have managed to, to pick, But before the prayer, I think it's also important to mention that we have a total of about 39 participants, about 8 questions, or participants ask questions. And again, before the prayer, I don't know if this is the right time to remind ourselves that the next session would be on the 9th of May. The next webinar will be on the 9th of May, but obviously, reminders will be circulated closer to this date. So may I move to the next item, which is closing prayer, or you have a few words to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming. As at the close of now, we had up to 39 participants, and also some elders, some bigwigs that joined us. We really appreciate everybody. We thank the presenter, Engineer Wilson Dadet, Victor, who's taking another note somewhere with respect to the minutes in order that so that we can have a complete report. And we also thank yourself for doing the wrap up and holding down the technical aspect while I was managing the technology component. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for the coordination.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank
So
you very
we
much.
go to prayer and we close.
Who is the
Thank you
chairman?
very much.
We appreciate everything.
Who is the chairman of this sectorial group?
Thank you very much for everything, sir.
It's your boy, sir.
Okay.
Engineer, you can trust. You can trust.
Thank you. So
Thank you.
the prayer, we still go back to our national prayer.
Okay, do we go ahead with that?
Yes, I'm looking for where I saved it. I had it before. Show all windows. Okay.
For those of us who know only the previous ones.
So I think we are seeing it on the screen now, so that because even I don't have this in my head as well. Okay.
So are we to go ahead with it?
Yes, we should go ahead with it.
Yes.
Oh,
God of
creation, direct
noble cause. Guide our leaders right.
Our leaders right.
Use the truth to know.
Leaders right.
To love and
honesty to grow.
And
Love
just
and
and
honesty to grow.
Grace of lofty height and
Trust and truth.
nation where
peace and justice shall reign.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you everyone for all the support.
Thank you, sir.
So we meet again next Saturday, 4:30 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I can see why many of us are not ministers, because we can't read the national anthem.